So, chat, I'm sure you guys have heard the news. It's all over social media right now. But it looks like it looks like the bromance is over. Like, we saw it all throughout, the campaign between, Kamala Harris and Donald Trump. There was a lot of support from Elon Musk. He was showing up at Trump rallies and stuff like that. There's an infamous picture of him doing the cringy jump where my understanding is he was trying to do like an X in the air when he jumped, but it really just made him look like a um, autistic kid jumping in the air or whatever, and just kind of like being semi cringe, like if you've ever had a little brother who does something really cringy and they do like something that they think looks cool, but it's really not cool. It's just super cringe. Like it was that sort of thing. And then there was like the whole chainsaw thing. In any case, it looks like the bromance may be over. And as you can see, I've got a lot of tabs, and they're all related to this one topic because there is a lot of stuff that has happened in a period of less than a week. Just to kind of summarize before we get into it, obviously, Donald Trump got elected. Elon Musk was a big part of that. He financed the campaign with tons of money, like unimaginable amounts of money. I think somebody said it was like over $200 million he invested into the Trump campaign. I could be getting that number wrong, so if anybody in chat has the exact number, please let me know. But I thought I heard something about over $200 million invested into the Trump campaign. And then obviously heavily promoting Donald Trump on social media and whatnot. So there was that. And then obviously once Trump got elected, then he was promoting his whole like, hey, we should do a department called Doge. I still can't believe there's an official government department named after a meme. I wonder if when he proposed Doge, if Donald Trump knew that was a meme, or if it was just a thing where he, was like, oh, that's kind of a cool name. Yeah, let's go with that name. If he had no idea the origins of it, I have no idea. But in any case, we have an official government department called DOGE. It stands for the Department of Government Efficiency. The whole point of that department was allegedly to, lower, the government spending, basically cut anything that was unnecessary and, try to save the government money and reduce the national deficit, right?
Heyo, thanks for the sub, you fucking simp.
Thank you very much for that sub. I do appreciate it. So that was the goal, try to, lower the deficit, lower the spending, etc. They had set like really high ambitions for what they were going to achieve. And then as, things started to play out in ways that they weren't too happy about, a lot of those, goals started lowering and lowering and lowering. And, they allegedly, from what we're being told, saved a lot of money. But we don't know, the validity of those figures, and it's certainly not the original projections of what they said they were going to save. But in any case, enough rambling. One of the pieces of news that came out, I think it was last Friday, was that Elon Musk and his position with Doge, that he was leaving. He was no longer going to be working for the Trump administration as part of Doge. He was going to be leaving, and it initially looked like they left on pretty good terms. So we're going to go ahead and take a look at a brief snippet from the sort of Oval Office press statement that they did to kind of go over this. So let's take a look at it.
Welcome back. It's been a wild political ride for Elon Musk. And tonight, as Rachel reported earlier, Musk is officially out of the Trump administration. This comes on the heels of him criticizing Trump's so-called big, beautiful bill in an interview. It caps a turbulent tenure as the chief of Doge, trying to slash government spending across the board. Jay O'Brien looks back at what Musk did in just a matter of months.
The most recognizable figure other than the president of this second Trump term, the chainsaw wielder. Headline.
See, that's what I'm talking about, where like, you have the cringy little brother who will do something that they think looks cool as shit, but realistically it's like really fucking cringe, and if they do it in front of your friends, you're kind of embarrassed or whatever. That's essentially Elon Musk with Trump. Like there's even, like I mentioned before, the whole picture of him jumping in the air trying to form an X with his body, and you can kind of see Trump looking back at him kind of annoyed, like, the fuck are you doing, bro? Jeez.
Grabbing billionaire Trump backer behind a controversial overhaul of the federal government. Now, Elon Musk is officially
Momoon says, I'm describing you. Oh, God, I'm so sorry.
out of the Trump administration. The world's richest man confirmed in this X post his time as a special government employee has come to an end. The culmination of a
So if you look at that post, like it initially seems like, everything was ending on good terms. I actually want to backtrack to where they show the start
of the Trump administration.
post.
The world's richest man confirmed.
Oh, they covered up really quick. Holy shit. I want to read the actual tweet. As my scheduled time as a special government employee comes to an end, did they ever publicly announce that this was going to be like a short-term thing? Because you got to remember, we're still very early into Trump's term. Like, my understanding of this thing is that this is going to be like he was part of Trump's administration, that it wasn't a short-term thing. But they're kind of like trying to play it off as if it was originally intended to be a short-term thing. I don't know. I don't recall any announcement of this being short-term. But as my scheduled time as a special government employee comes to an end, I'd like to thank President Donald Trump for the opportunity to reduce wasteful spending. The Doge mission will only strengthen over time as it becomes a way of life throughout the government. It was 120 days, I think. Okay, thank you for the correction. I do appreciate that. Yeah, it was only temporary. From the beginning, I remember them saying it was only as an aid. Thank you for clarification. I do appreciate that.
Richest man confirmed in this X post his time as a special government employee has come to an end. The culmination of a wild political ride.
As you can see, I'm not just MAGA, I'm dark MAGA.
Let me tell you, we have a new star.
See, he does so. There's so many times where he'll do something like that, or he'll make some comment like that, and I experience secondhand embarrassment just watching him. Like, he can't just have his own version of the MAGA hat. It's a black one, in his view, it looks cool or whatever. He's got to announce, I'm not just MAGA, I'm dark MAGA. And it's just like, okay, dude, that's good for you, I guess. You want a special star on your hat?
A star is born, Elon.
It started with record-breaking big-dollar campaign contributions to put Trump back in power and led Musk to an integral role in Trump's orbit.
They were jealous of Dark Brandon? I guess so, maybe.
Staying at his Mar-a-Lago club, taking an office right next to the White House, and traveling with the president on Marine One. Yeah! Musk wasn't a...
He was literally, constantly, on, Trump's, nutsack, 24/7. If you've ever had somebody who owned a dog, especially if it's a small sized dog and they just want to be with you at all times, they just follow you around everywhere, right? You just can't get away without them following you everywhere. That was Elon to Trump.
Candidate in 2024.
This is what victory feels like.
And he's never been confirmed by the United States Senate. But he wielded significant...
Yes, literally, he was the White House pet. By the way, that clip that they just showed, isn't that where the infamous Nazi salute happened? I'm sorry, you can't convince me that that wasn't a Nazi salute. Especially when you consider the fact that this guy is literally promoting, far-right political parties, in the UK. Yes, this guy is a Nazi. I'm not one of those, I know a lot of leftists will, overuse the term Nazi for people they disagree with or people that are on the right on social media. I'm not somebody who will overuse that term, but he absolutely 100%, is a Nazi. I'm comfortable saying that about him.
Significant power as the de facto head of the Department of Government Efficiency, or DOGE, an agency that didn't...
I like how the news outlet feels the need to clarify that that's an AI-generated image. That's so funny.
...exist until a few months ago.
This is an order creating and implementing the Department of Governmental Efficiency, known as DOGE.
Okay, that's a big one.
And has gutted the federal...
I'll tell you, I don't think Trump realized the Doge thing, the name of it, was a meme. I think that he just thought it was oh, okay, DOGE, Doge, how you pronounce the acronym. It sounds pretty cool or whatever. But no, I don't think he realized it came from a meme.
Government, all with the goal of streamlining its functions. The shakeup started on the first full day of Trump's second term. The Office of Personnel Management, which acts as a human resources department for the government, directed agencies to start putting together a list of workers they could easily get rid of.
Jesus.
A week later, some 2 million federal employees received an email with an offer to resign and be paid through September or risk being fired. The subject line, the fork in the road.
That was his first like action as part of Doge, was like instantly, we're just gonna like fire a bunch of people. Just like willy-nilly axe people's positions left and right. I forget what department it was, but there was some department that was like a crucial department that they like basically fired everyone, and then they were told like, no, this department's really important. You have to bring all these people back. And then they're like begging them to come back. Like some of these departments are still understaffed because of the fact that like he just axed them willy-nilly like that, and they're desperately trying to get those employees to come back, and they're like, no, fuck off, fuck you.
The same phrase Musk used when he was slashing the workforce at Twitter.
Was the Department of Education one of them? I think so. And then there was also like the that project for overseeing like the prevention of Ebola, and they did the same thing with that department. They completely like axed everyone from that department, and they're like begging those people to come back as well, because they're like, oh shit, this is kind of important actually.
Fast forward just 30 days, and Musk and his team of Doge personnel gained access into more than a dozen federal agencies, with the potential to see the sensitive and personal information of millions of Americans. Top officials from the Social Security Administration to the IRS resigned in protest.
No one who is like, you know, a private, you know, company owner, or like a publicly traded company, you shouldn't have someone that's not like a government official that has that level of fucking access to government like records. That should not be a thing that's happening. It's insane. They fired the Department of Energy Efficiency, who literally monitor our nuclear. Yes, that's true. That's so true. That's a thing that happened. He also axed some of the department that handled the safety and security of airline flights, and then we all had we saw that uptick in like airline crashes because he like fired all these people that oversee like traffic control and shit like that. That's a thing that happened.
The first agency to fall was USAID, administering foreign aid across the globe. Tens of thousands of federal employees across the government were fired, from the National Institutes of Health to the Department of Education to the Forest Service. Many of the terminations abrupt, even chaotic. Officials with the National Nuclear Security Administration, in charge of the nation's nuclear stockpile, were fired in error. The Department of Energy then scrambled to rehire them.
See? And that was a common thing with like multiple departments where he fired like tons of people from, is they were like, okay, you guys can all leave, pack up your shit and get the fuck out. And then like they realized, oh, we actually do need these people. Please, we're begging you, please come back. It's fucking wild.
Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, protecting American consumers, were first told to stay home before many of them were let go. Some showed up anyway. 75,000 federal workers took Musk and Doge's offer to
I like how ABC right here is just like, you know, before we talk about, you know, Musk leaving, you know, Doge and basically stepping away from his position as part of the Trump administration, let's talk about all the horrible fucking things he did before he left. This is awesome reporting by ABC News.
To resign. And after that offer closed, other federal workers started receiving emails and calls like this.
You will receive your termination notice via email shortly.
Justine Ballou worked for the Department of Agriculture. 72 hours out from delivering her baby, she was fired.
Paid maternity leave is off the table, and my health insurance is set to lapse at the end of this month.
Federal workers' unions called many of the firings callous and indiscriminate. Musk laying out his approach to this audience in Dubai.
If you don't remove the roots of the weed, then it's easy for the weed to grow back. But if you remove the roots of the weed, it doesn't stop weeds from ever growing back, but it makes it harder. So we have to really delete entire agencies, many of them.
But while helming Doge, the South African-born entrepreneur continued to run his other cutting-edge companies like Tesla and SpaceX, both of which have been awarded roughly $18 billion over the last decade in federal contracts, including by agencies the president asked Musk to look into. The billionaire saying
oh my God, that was funny when they had that like press conference or whatever at the White House where they were trying to like shill Teslas. They were trying to get people to buy Teslas or whatever. I wonder if I could find this. There was a tweet that I'm pretty sure I put out that day where I got a screenshot of, it looked like, let me just see if I could just find the screenshot. I don't know if I could find my tweet of it. Tesla, White House, Trump, Elon. I want to find this one particular picture. No, that's not the one. Where is it? There's a really funny picture from that day that I'd love to show. This one. Oh my god. Let me see. No. Open image in new tab. Can I get that? Yes. Okay. Look at this image from that press conference. Oh my god. It literally, chat, it literally looks like Elon is about to slob the fucking knob. Like, tell me I'm wrong. Tell me I'm fucking wrong. It literally looks like Elon's about to go down on Trump. Right? Oh my god. Holy shit. But like, look at how buddy they were, right? And then like this stepping away from the Trump administration thing happens and like it all falls apart, but we're getting ahead of ourselves.
This when pressed by ABC's Rachel Scott.
If you have received billions of dollars in contracts from the Pentagon and the president's directing you to look into the Department of Defense.
Domi says he looks like he just got done doing it with Trump's face. Oh, judging by Trump's face, it looks, yeah, he did kind of have like that, you know, post-nut clarity face on, didn't he?
Is that a conflict of interest?
Are going to do at the president's request.
Does that present a conflict of interest for you?
No, because you'd have to look at the individual contract and say, first of all, I'm not.
Imagine like, okay, I'm not gonna shit on somebody for like actually being like a parent to their kid. Now, granted, we know that Elon's not a good parent to all his kids. He's neglected several of his children to the point that like one of his exes had to scream on Twitter to get them to acknowledge like a health issue with one of his kids. And then obviously there's the issue with his trans daughter that he's basically, he said he considers her dead at this point, which is really fucked. But in any case, like how do you hold like a press conference for the fucking government like this and expect to be taken seriously? Yeah, Vivian, and yes, she is amazing. You're totally right. But yeah.
The one, you know, filing the contract, it's people at SpaceX.
And Trump weighing in too.
And if we thought that, we would not let him do that segment or look in that area. If we thought there was a lack of transparency or a conflict of interest.
Entering government, Musk set a sky-high goal of cutting $2 trillion in federal spending, later changing that to $1 trillion. But as the billionaire businessman returned...
Yeah, it was the goal was $2 trillion, then it went down to $1 trillion, and then they like lower it even more as it became more apparent that they weren't going to be able to cut as much spending as they had originally projected. The goal kept moving the goalpost to even lower. It's pretty funny shit.
Turns to the private sector, Doge claims it's currently only slashed $175 billion out of the federal budget through canceling contracts and leases and firing employees. And even that number is disputed and hard to verify. Looking back, Musk recently telling the Washington Post, the federal bureaucracy situation is much worse than I realized. I thought there were problems, but it sure is an uphill battle.
I think he wants to get the job, then get back to his businesses. That's what I think.
Trump White House officials now insist Musk is leaving on good terms and will still serve as an unofficial advisor to the president.
That's the funny thing, right? Is like it seemed like everything was on the up and up, and like they really were leaving on good terms. We saw earlier the tweet that Elon put out where he was like thanking Trump for the opportunity. So initially it seemed like everything was still good between the two of them.
President. And Musk's influence will likely be felt for years. His companies are still deeply ingrained in government work, from NASA to the Pentagon. Hand-picked Doge staffers now have senior roles across the federal government. And the world's richest man still has billions to burn in any upcoming elections.
Our thanks to Jay O'Brien for that.
Okay, so that's it for that video. But you can start to see, you know, obviously like the initial announcement, it seemed like everything was still fine between Elon and Trump, right? But the cracks started to show very quickly, because not long after he stepped down from his position with the Trump administration, he did this interview with CBS Sunday Morning, and this interview didn't go so well. It was a big flub on his part. Like, apparently he went into this expecting it to just be like a conversation about SpaceX, and then after that, like, the interviewer started asking questions about, their position within the government and whatnot, and they're like, yeah, I wasn't really I wasn't really interested in having conversations about that kind of stuff. Anyway, let's get into it.
To begin this morning, a man who truly needs no introduction, Elon Musk. He's talking with David Pogue.
He is a truly incredible guy, and I don't say that often.
In the beginning, Donald Trump and Elon Musk got along great.
Take over, Elon, yes, take over.
Musk spent $288 million to elect Trump and his allies.
And they've also got to address the deficit.
This interview was wild. I've seen little clips of it. I haven't watched the full interview yet, so this will be the first time.
Trump invited Musk into the Oval Office and cabinet meetings. Musk called himself First Buddy.
You got to give him credit.
Trump welcomed Musk's idea to create a Department of Government Efficiency.
This is the chainsaw for bureaucracy.
In 4 months, Doge took the chainsaw to every federal department. Yeah. 250,000 workers were fired or bought out. Musk even slashed grants and staffing at environmental agencies like the EPA and NOAA after decades of warning about the risks of climate change. But Musk...
That's the funniest thing about it, right? Is like he used to be like a big advocate for, trying to prevent climate change or whatever. Like, seriously, like, that was like one of the main reasons he kept pushing his, like, other than the financial incentive, was like pushing the electric cars. He's like, yo, climate change is real and we need to be concerned about it. And then, like, he gets this position in the government and he starts slashing funding to those valuable departments. Like, it's insane. Like, he's gone full 180 on so many of his positions. Like, you look at his positions back in like 2016 and compare them to like now, it's like night and day. If you really want to see a good example of that, Jay Aubrey just put out a great video on Elon Musk, and it talks about like his previous political positions and where they are now, how they're different. Highly recommend checking out that video.
Did not enjoy the pushback.
We received several 911 calls about a fire.
There were acts of violence, death threats, lawsuits, mandatory rehirings, shouting matches.
Jay should have waited a few more days. Yo, true. He's going to have to do another follow-up because this isn't his first Elon Musk video. I believe this is his second one. So he's going to have to do another one now.
Cabinet members. Tesla profits plummeted by 71%.
Number one, it's a great product.
And Musk's net worth dropped by $100 billion.
No, that's beautiful. Yeah.
Last month, Musk finally left Washington, but still intended to work on Doge a day or two a week. And this past Tuesday, he offered us an interview at SpaceX's
Tesla. Yeah, that was like when the infamous Tesla thing happened. There's so many like funny quotes from like Donald Trump. He's just a fucking idiot, right? So like there's so many funny quotes that come out of his mouth. What was the one that was like not too long ago? He was talking about how I love the Lumbee tribe. You know, he doesn't know anything about the fucking that shit, but he loves the Lumbee tribe.
Jeez. Enormous headquarters at the southern tip of Texas. We knew we were in the right neighborhood when we saw this huge bust of Musk, installed by his admirers and vandalized by his critics.
Jeez.
But the interview didn't get off to a...
That's how you know, okay, that's how you know that this relationship was like destined to fall apart. Because you have two people with like egos the size of like New York skyscrapers, okay? Like they're two very big narcissists, like hand in hand. Like there was no way that this relationship wasn't bound to like fall apart at some point, right?
To a smooth start.
The writing was on the wall.
I noticed that all of your businesses involve a lot of components, a lot of parts. Do the tariffs and the trade wars affect any of this?
Tariffs always affect things a little bit.
Wondering what your thought is on the ban on foreign students, the proposal. I mean, you were one of those kids, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think we want to stick to, the, the subject of the day, which is like spaceships.
Oh my god. So like really, really early on, he's just like, yeah, I don't really want to talk about that. Could we just talk about my rockets, please? I thought you're here to talk about the rockets.
As opposed to, presidential policy.
Oh, okay. I was told anything's good, but
No, well, no.
No.
But Musk was willing to talk about the Doge firestorm.
you've spoken about how much of a grind and a stress it was on you, and Tesla's reputation took a hit. Your reputation took a hit. People are very upset about Social Security and national parks and air traffic and food safety and cancer research, Alzheimer's research. Now that you've had a chance to look at it,
Yeah.
might there have been a different approach?
Yeah, I think what was starting to happen was that, it's a bit unfair because, Doge became the whooping boy for everything. So if there was some cut, real or imagined, everyone would blame Doge. I've had people think that, somehow...
I mean, he's really just trying to deflect rather, responsibility. Because there are, many things that he tried to cut that they had to reverse on. Because it was like, oh shit, that was actually something really important that the government spends money on, so we need to bring that back. We've talked about earlier the various departments that got shut down, where they had to, fire all these employees and then try to rehire them, beg them to come back and stuff. All these government programs that they had cut off funding to, and then they had to backpedal on that. Doge was like a fucking mess in so many regards, but it really does seem like he's just, well, anytime anything went wrong, people just wanted to blame it on Doge. And it's like, well, it's appropriate to blame it on Doge when the actions of Doge directly caused the issues that later cropped up. You're the guy in charge of that department, or you were. So yeah, that's your responsibility. You can't just push that off as well, everybody was just blaming everything on Doge. No, there were things that absolutely were your fault.
Somehow Doge is going to stop them from getting their Social Security check, which is completely untrue.
Well, I guess I was just thinking about the, move fast and break things, before.
I mean, if you're basically firing a large majority of the staff at the Social Security office, then yeah, that is going to cause people problems in getting their Social Security checks. And if I remember correctly, and somebody correct me if I'm wrong in the chat, I'm pretty sure that he cut a lot of the positions in the Social Security office. I'm pretty sure that's a thing that happened as well as part of his, executive decision making at Doge.
You really understand what the agency does.
Yeah, I mean, I guess part of it is depends on where you're coming from. So, I'm like a proponent of smaller government, not bigger government. So now if somebody's a proponent of, more government programs and bigger government, and they see, hey, Doge is cutting all these government programs, then they'll be fundamentally opposed to that because they just think the government should do more things. That's just a fundamental, I guess, ideological opinion. But my frank opinion of the government is that the government is just like the DMV that got big. Okay, so when you say let's have the government do something, you should think,
He's just rambling at this point. Does anything that he's trying to say make any sense to you guys? I feel like he's just really anxious in this moment. Because again, this is shit that he didn't want to talk about during this interview. He wanted to keep it to his business at SpaceX. So I feel like he's super flustered, and I have no idea what the fuck he's trying to say right here.
Do you want the DMV to do it?
And then...
I understand the parts about, he says he's not big government, but, just the ramble around it just doesn't make a lot of sense.
Musk started talking about the Trump administration. I hadn't even asked him about Trump.
And, it's not like I agree with everything the administration does. So it's
So this is where the cracks started to show. This is his, earliest, after leaving the Trump administration, after leaving Doge. This is where we really started to see him kind of throwing a little bit of criticism towards Donald Trump.
I agree with much of what the administration does, but we have differences of opinion. There's things that I don't entirely agree with. But it's difficult for me to bring that up in an interview because then it creates a bone of contention. So then I'm a little stuck in a bind where I'm like, well, I don't want to, speak out against the administration, but I don't want to. I also don't want to take responsibility for everything the administration is doing.
Jeez.
In Washington, federal workers say that DOGE has left the government's operations in disarray. And worst of all, it might have all been for nothing. Musk claims to have saved the government $175 billion so far, nowhere close to his original target, or even his revised target.
Yeah, it's about time Trump finally hates Musk. So we haven't gotten to the bulk of what's taken place just yet. But if anything, it seems like, Musk is more hating Trump at this point, and that Trump is just kind of coping at the moment. Because the last post that I saw from him, which we'll get into a little bit later, when he responded to I understand Musk, dislikes me or disagrees with me or whatever, it really reeked of cope. But we'll get to that in a bit.
And that was before the president's new spending bill passed the House. According to the Congressional Budget Office, it will add $3.8 trillion to our debt over the next 10 years.
And that's it seems to be the big moment of contention here. This what is it? He calls it the big beautiful bill or something like that, and it's the whole government spending bill, and it talks about basically some of the cuts that they're going to be making and some of the spending that they're going to be doing, and the whole point of Doge was supposedly to cut spending, and then in response to that they're letting go of Elon, and then they're increasing the amount of spending, increasing the amount of deficit spending that they're doing. So on one end, obviously I'm not a big fan of Elon Musk. I think he's a fucking freak. But on this particular issue, I do understand why he's pissed off, because he's okay, you hired me, you brought me on board to decrease government spending, which he did a shitty job of, but in his mind, he thinks he did a good job. And then it's you guys are going to increase the government spending now. And on top of that, some of the cuts that they're making directly affect him, removing EV mandates and EV tax incentives and stuff like that. These are things that directly impact him. So it's a double whammy for him. The work that he thinks he did, for the government, he thinks he did a good job. It's now for nothing because they're increasing spending even more. And then they're also making cuts in areas that personally affects his bottom line. So, yeah, he's really fucking pissed.
It's now being debated in the Senate.
So, I was disappointed to see the massive spending bill, frankly, which increases the budget deficit, doesn't decrease it, and undermines the work that the Doge team is doing.
Exactly. See, so he's really pissed off, and obviously I don't give a fuck about the budget cuts that affect his personal interests, whether it's cutting government contracts with him or cutting EV incentives that result in his business. It hurts his bottom line when it comes to Tesla and shit like that. I don't give a fuck about that stuff, right? The only thing that kind of sucks is if they remove the EV tax incentives for customers of electric vehicles. You get those EV tax incentives where it basically saves you money on a new EV. Obviously, those things kind of suck. But my point is, I don't care about anything that affects his bottom line. But I do understand his frustration of, I was brought into this administration to lower costs and lower spending, to help lower the deficit. And now I'm out and they're spending more money, contributing further to the deficit. It's insane.
I actually thought that when this big, beautiful bill came along. I mean, everything he's done on Doge gets wiped out in the first year.
I think a bill can be big or it can be beautiful, but I don't know if it can be both. My personal opinion.
And here's where the story gets a little complicated. Right after our interview, CBS News posted a clip of it to promote this very report. It was that part where Musk criticizes Trump's spending bill, and his remarks became news. It went all the way up to the White House.
Mr. President, Elon Musk in a television interview criticized...
Oh boy. So like I said, this is where the cracks started to show. This is where things started to fall apart between Trump and Elon. This was the beginning of the end.
As the one beautiful bill.
Within 24 hours, Musk announced that his time in the Trump administration was officially over. Out of Doge, out of government. He said that the reason was that his limited 130-day stint as advisor was ending. But until that moment, he'd been saying that he still intended to work on Doge part-time.
Doge is going to continue, just it's as a way of life, and I will have some participation in that. But as I've said publicly, my focus has to be on the companies at this point.
Truth is, the Trump-Musk relationship had already seemed to be cooling.
Jeez.
Trump used to post about Musk about 6 times a week, but by April, he'd stopped mentioning Musk altogether.
Yeah, so the signs were there. The signs were already there that the relationship was starting to fall apart. Like, if you paid close enough attention, you could really tell. But for a lot of people, this just kind of came out of the blue. Everybody thought these two were still tight. And then today, we got some very interesting tweets. Well, I feel like most people noticed yesterday, because yesterday he started tweeting a lot in regards to his disapproval of this spending bill. So if you were paying close enough attention, you probably noticed yesterday. But today, at the time of doing this stream segment, that was when it was like, oh, what the fuck's going on here, you know? Poor people who track how often they tweet about each other. Yeah. Oh my God, so true. Imagine that's your job, keeping track of how often is Trump posting on social media about Elon Musk. That's like basically that's like the mainstream media version of like A-logging someone. Holy shit.
Today it's about a man named Elon.
Still, on Friday, they held a media event at the White House to confirm their mutual admiration.
Travis, their egos are huge. It's not shocking that they broke up. Yeah, that's what I said earlier, that like we've got two people with massive egos and they're insanely like huge narcissists. Like it was bound to happen. Like it was only a matter of time before this relationship fell apart.
And to leave the door open for future collaboration.
And Elon's really not leaving. He's going to be back and forth, I think. I have a feeling.
The Doge team is doing an incredible job. They're going to continue doing an incredible job, and I'll continue to be visiting here and be a friend and advisor to.
Imagine like expecting to be taken seriously as somebody who sort of held a position in government office, you know, as the guy who was running Doge. Imagine trying to be taken seriously. You're showing up to this thing with a black eye, not even attempting to cover it up. Apparently Donald Trump had offered to have like his team like apply some makeup to cover it up, and they didn't do it. He opted not to. But like you've got a black eye, you've got the Doge hat, which I mean it's the name of the department he was overseeing, so I guess that's not so bad. But you've got a shirt that's a parody of The Godfather that says the Doge Father. And you're supposed to be taken seriously. Do you think the Doge will be dissolved? I wouldn't be surprised at this point. Considering they're completely like doing the opposite of what Doge is supposedly intended to do, I would not be surprised, honestly. Did Elon get punched? He claims that his son X, which I still can't believe, like he named a website X. He wanted to name PayPal X back in the day. SpaceX is the name of his rocket company, and he named a child X. This guy is fucking insane. But he claims his son X punched him in the face.
The president.
Musk might be the first to admit that his Doge experiment gave him a black eye. Like the actual black eye he had on Friday, which he says he got from his 5-year-old son,
there you go.
Or the matching one on that statue.
Oh my God.
At least for now, Musk says that his focus will be running his business ventures. Tesla.
That's what I was going to say, Grambo. I was going to say he probably like fell down while he was in the middle of like a ketamine binge or some shit.
Starlink, X, XAI, Neuralink, Optimus Robots, The Boring Company, and SpaceX.
I forgot The Boring Company was even a thing. Like the big thing that most people know The Boring Company from is that stupid like tunnel project that he wanted to do that he said was going to like decrease like traffic nationwide or whatever when they expanded it. and it's just a single lane. Can you explain to me how a single lane tunnel stops traffic? Like, if anything, like one car in that single lane tunnel breaks down and then everybody's fucked. Like, you're just stuck. That just sounds like the stupidest idea ever. And then they sold those not flamethrowers as well, which was, that was the most weird product launch I've ever heard of. There's also no escape hatches either. He's not a very bright guy.
Are all of your businesses...
And apparently, correct me if I'm wrong, but wasn't those tunnels also going to be exclusive to like Tesla owners? Like only Tesla owners could use them or some dumb shit. So like the whole meme about like, you know how like some people will say like, hey, you can't do like basically proprietary things in like the automotive industry, like only allowing certain cars to drive on certain roads and shit like that, right? And then like he actually tried to do that. He was like, hey, these roads will only be for like Tesla owners. It's like Tesla Uber through the tunnels, something like that.
Related in some way?
Yeah, the only ones in Vegas.
I guess you can think of the businesses as things that improve the probable trajectory of civilization. So,
he really likes to think of himself as like a visionary of like, my products are like changing the world. And like, you know, maybe in the start you could look at Tesla and be like, oh, okay, I can see that, you know, Tesla's really paving the way for like electric vehicles and stuff like that, because nobody really took electric vehicles seriously before Tesla. That's when people really said, okay, you know, this electric car thing, it can work. So like maybe at the start of Tesla you can kind of make that argument, but like he really thinks of himself as like some grand visionary who's going to change the world. And it's like, bro, like that you're not him. Okay. Let's just put it that way, bro. You're not him.
For making life multiplanetary or extending life to Mars, the idea there is to ensure the long-term survival of life and consciousness as we know it.
We're going to use this launch to kind of further accelerate.
After our interview Tuesday, we were invited to witness the 9th launch of his Starship, the biggest rocket ever built. The 2 previous Starship tests ended in explosions, or as SpaceX puts it, rapid, unscheduled disassemblies. So all eyes were on Test Launch 9 to see if a Starship could return to Earth in one piece.
As Musk left our interview to watch the launch, he said something that could summarize all of his enterprises. I can't guarantee success, but I can guarantee excitement.
Imagine saying that with like a fucking straight face, right? Oh my God.
In the end, Elon Musk's giant rocket spun out of control. It did not survive re-entry.
Oh God. Jeez. Okay, so that pretty much does it for the interview. So you can kind of see the cracks starting to form in their friendship in that moment. And then things really blew up moving forward from there. We got this article here. Musk urged Americans to tell lawmakers to kill the bill. Again, speaking out against Donald Trump's big, beautiful bill that he was pushing. We're only going to read the highlighted points here, but it says Elon Musk hit out at U.S. President Donald Trump's signature tax and spending bill again on Wednesday, calling on Americans to tell their representatives in Washington to kill the bill. The budget, which includes a huge tax breaks and more defense spending, was passed by the House Representatives last month and is now being considered by senators. The tech billionaire wrote on X earlier this week that the bill would add to the U.S. budget deficit and saddle Americans with crushing debt. On Tuesday, he described it as a disgusting abomination in a widened rift between the two. Shame on those who voted for it, Musk said on Tuesday, hinting that he may try to unseat the politicians responsible at next year's midterm elections. So again, the rift just started getting bigger and bigger, and his criticisms of this bill started getting a lot more intense. Then we move on to some of the tweets. These were the tweets from yesterday. This is why I said, if you were really paying attention, if you were paying close attention, you might have noticed sooner that there was a rift forming between these two. But if you, at the very least, paid attention yesterday, you definitely saw the rift starting to form. Call your senator, call your congressman. Bankrupting America is not okay. Kill the bill. he tweeted yesterday. He even started memeing on the situation by posting a poster for the movie Kill Bill in reference to killing the bill. We all know that Elon prides himself as a meme lord, so he's trying to meme his way through this thing. He quote tweets this person saying, the big beautiful bill is a debt bomb ticking. It's also the biggest missed opportunity conservatives have ever had to put our country back on track of fiscal sanity. If we defeat this bill, a better one can be offered that won't bankrupt our country, to which he said, absolutely. So again, disagreeing with criticism, or agreeing rather with criticism of the bill. 10% of the national debt in one bill. Our government is out of control. Elon is correct. To which he quote tweeted, insane, right? So obviously he's getting, Donald Trump is getting this criticism. He's starting to see this criticism, heavy criticism by Elon Musk of his bill. And so he responded earlier this morning in a bit of a press conference here. So let's see what he had to say.
Elon's upset because we took the EV mandate, and which was a lot of money for electric vehicles, and they're having a hard time, the electric vehicles.
So he's trying to just kind of downplay it. Trump's initial response was to downplay it, like, oh, he's just mad because we're removing the EV incentives and the EV mandates. That's why he's mad. And it's like, again, I'm not a fan of Elon Musk, okay? I think he's a fucking insane Nazi freak, if I'm being completely honest, okay? But I understand why he's mad here. Again, let me remind you guys, I feel like a broken record, like I'm repeating myself here, but the reason he's mad is he started, this new department within the government with Trump's approval, DOGE, which the whole point of it was to lower the deficit. Okay, that was the whole point of it, was to lower the deficit and cut government spending. And then they remove him, right? And then immediately after they remove him, they push this bill that wants to do more spending, more deficit spending, increase the national deficit even further. So you got to imagine being somebody who's brought in for the task of lowering spending. You're looking at this as like, well, what was the point of me doing what I just did? Yeah, I'm sure he's probably mad about, the removing of the EV mandates. Yeah, I'm sure he's mad about, the removing of EV incentives and, government contracts that he has, like these things that directly affect his bottom line. I'm sure he's pissed about those as well. But like, Trump is being insanely dishonest here to try and downplay, just like, oh, he's just mad about the EV stuff we're getting rid of. No, like, if somebody brought me in to do a job, and then after they ask me to leave, they immediately reverse everything I did with that job they brought me on for, I'd be really fucking pissed too, right?
Vehicles, and they want us to pay billions of dollars in subsidy. And, Elon knew this from the beginning. I can understand why he's upset. Remember, he was here for a long time. You saw a man who was very happy when he stood behind the Oval desk. And even with the black eye, I said, do you want a little makeup? We'll get you a little makeup. But he said, no, I don't think so.
See, they were offering like, hey, we can cover up that black eye you've got there with some makeup. And he chose not to. For some reason, I don't know, maybe he thought it made him look like a badass to like be there with a black eye. I don't fucking know. Like, he's just a fucking weirdo.
Just interesting and very nice. He wants to be who he is. So you could make that statement too, I guess. Look, Elon and I had a great relationship. I don't know if we're well anymore. I was surprised because you were here. Everybody in this room practically was here as we had a wonderful send-off. He said wonderful things about me. You couldn't have nicer. Said the best things. He's worn the hat. Trump was right about everything. And I am right about the great, big, beautiful bill. I'm very disappointed because...
Oh my God, of course he thinks he's right. Like, that bill, like... That bill is a fucking disaster. Like, as much as I can't stand Elon Musk, I mean, he's right about one thing. This bill is a fucking mess, and it's just going to make things worse for our country. Like, we already think that, like, things are getting expensive and whatnot because of... these fucking tariffs and things that he's implemented that are like causing our economy to go into the shitter. This big, beautiful bill of his isn't going to make things any better.
Elon knew the inner workings of this bill better than almost anybody sitting here, better than you people. He knew everything about it. He had no problem with it. All of a sudden he had a problem, and he only developed the problem when he found out that we're going to have to cut the EV mandate, because that's billions and billions of dollars.
Yeah, see, he's being like super dishonest here. Like, just like it's just about the EV stuff, and it's totally not about the EV stuff. Like, again, I'm not an Elon defender. I'm not an Elon fanboy or anything like that. I will openly admit that there was a time when I bought into the bullshit back in the day. I have to admit that. Those times have long gone, obviously. But having said that, like, I'm not a fan of Elon, but like, he's just selling, the press a load of bullshit right now. The reason Elon is upset is so much bigger than this shit.
And it really is unfair. We want to have cars of all types. Electric, we want to have electric.
We all were at one point. Yeah, a lot of people in the online left, they forget that, like, not only was Elon Musk like a beloved figure by so many people in like the tech industry, and he sold a lot of people a lot of bullshit to convince them that he was this super intelligent tech titan and whatnot. Like, people thought he was like the bee's knees, okay? Not only that, but there was also people on the left that really liked him because he was pushing for, better policies on, global warming and stuff like that. And he was trying to really push, obviously, the switch to EVs, which would help with that. He fooled a lot of us, as Grambo in the chat says. He fooled a lot of us into believing that he was like the real deal. And it turns out he's just a garbage human.
Electric, but we want to have a gasoline.
I remember that interview that Vivian did with Hassan Piker, and she was like, he's always been like this. Like, the whole him being a lefty back in the day, that was just a load of baloney. Like, he was selling us a bill of goods and selling us some bullshit, and we all bought into it at the time.
Combustion. We want to have different. We want to have hybrids. We want to have we want to be able to sell everything.
Got a lot of us tech nerds. Yeah, exactly. Because I'm very much like a tech bro. A lot of you guys know that, this YouTube thing and this Twitch thing, this isn't like my normal, like 9 to 5. I have an actual 9 to 5 job outside of this where I work in tech. And so, like, I'm really about technology, and I'm really interested in technology. So, like, yeah, I was one of those people that he sold us bullshit and I bought into it because I'm a tech bro. But yeah, a lot of us fell for his bullshit back then.
And when that was cut, and Congress wanted to cut it, he became a little bit different, and I can understand that. But he knew every aspect of this bill. He knew it better than almost anybody, and he never had a problem until right after he left.
Okay, so that was Trump's initial response to the criticism. He kind of softballed Elon there, but at the same time, he was very dishonest about what Elon is upset about. So that was this morning. And that led to the complete and utter crash out that Elon had. Like, if you've ever seen one of those like unhinged like Twitter rants that like Kanye West has gone on, where he'll just like start throwing out these like really insane tweets, like rapid firing them over and over and over and over again, one after another. Elon basically did that and directed all his ire at Donald Trump. So let's go ahead and let's dive into it. So immediately after that, that interview segment that we just saw came out, he says, whatever, keep the EV/solar incentive cuts in the bill, even though no oil and gas subsidies are touched. Very unfair, but ditch the mountain of disgusting pork in the bill. In the entire history of civilization, there has never been legislation that both big and beautiful. Everyone knows this. Either you get a big and ugly bill or a slim and beautiful bill. Slim and beautiful is the way. So again, giving more heavy criticism towards this bill. Somebody tweeted about this particular segment, and this is where it really starts with the deep cuts, in my opinion. So he responds to this segment from that clip we just watched, and he says this: without me, Trump would have lost the election. Dems would control the House, and the Republicans would be 51-49 in the Senate. Such ingratitude. And I gotta be honest, I think he's kind of right. If I'm being completely honest, I think a big factor in Donald Trump winning the election was how hard Musk pushed him and how much Musk invested into his political campaign. I think he's right. I think he really was a big factor in Donald Trump winning. So obviously he's starting to throw the hard jabs here, and like Trump decides to respond. He still softballs it a little bit, but you can definitely tell he's starting to lose his patience. He said Elon was wearing thin. I asked him to leave. I took away his EV mandate. So again, still being dishonest. His EV mandate that forced everyone to buy electric cars that nobody else wanted, that he knew for months I was going to do, and he just went crazy. Just went crazy. Dear Lord. The easiest way to save money in our budget, billions and billions of dollars, is to terminate Elon's government subsidies and contracts. I was always surprised that Biden didn't do it. Oh, Lord. So he's like basically threatening to cut the government contracts that Elon has, which this is clearly like a direct threat of like, hey, you really want us to save money in the budget? Okay, we're going to cut your contracts. Holy shit. So then he responds to the claim that things were wearing thin with him already. And he says, such an obvious lie, so sad. And is it this next tweet? Yes. This next tweet was the one that broke the internet chat. And people were still flipping out about it. Time to drop the really big bomb. Donald Trump is in the Epstein files. That is the real reason why they have not been made public. Have a nice day, Donald J. Trump. Holy shit. Oh my God. This was the funny chat. I can't begin to tell you how fucking funny this moment was when this unfolded. There were screenshots of this. Wait, is that Tom Anderson from MySpace? I made this with Grok. Oh my God, it's fucking MySpace Tom. Holy shit. I didn't notice that. But there were so many screenshots of this fucking tweet all over the place. You know what this reaction to this back and forth between the two of them reminds me of? You know what this reminds me of? This is like, if you've ever been like on Facebook, and I say Facebook because, at least by my own experience, like if there's ever a social media platform where like family members argue and fight with each other on, it's Facebook. Like, can I get a 1 in the chat if you guys have ever seen like family members, whether it's like the old boomers in the family or like the younger people in the family? Like, that's where family members go to fight on social media, is Facebook, right? It looks like there's some other people who've had similar experiences. But this whole like ordeal from Elon reminds me of like a teenage girl asking their parents if they could like go to a party, and understandably their parents say no, and then they hop on Facebook to throw a temper tantrum. Like that's what this whole like Twitter meltdown by Elon Musk reminds me of, right? You know, you understand what I mean? You know exactly what I'm talking about? My aunt thrived off of starting shit with family Facebook comments. Jesus. Okay, let's continue here. The funniest thing was watching like MAGA Chud's reaction to this stuff, especially like noteworthy ones like Roseanne Barr. I saw this tweet and I'm like, what the fuck is she talking about? Like, anytime Roseanne Barr opens her mouth, she always says the most bizarre, incoherent shit that makes no sense. We really need to do some more Chud Watch with Roseanne Barr. The last time we covered Roseanne Barr was when she did that segment on her YouTube channel with that limited edition Trump Glock that she got. And she's like breaking every rule in the book with like safe gun ownership. I think I called that video like Firearm Safety for Dummies featuring Roseanne Barr. Highly recommend checking out that video because it's fucking insane. But she says they're splitting MAGA. I think she means in half. They're splitting MAGA in half. Oh, no. I read that wrong. Sorry. I thought she I think she had a typo. They're splitting MAGA in half, or you are falling for it because Jew hate is the most important thing to you. What the fuck? Jew hate? What the fuck does that have to... I'm so confused. Maybe try loving America instead? That will unify us like it did during the election. Jew hate can wait for the next commie president. What is... Jew hate? What? I don't understand. Does this make sense to any of you in chat? I'm so confused. And then we have poor little Kanye West here. Bros, please no. We love you both so much. And in the middle, he's got like a 2 people hugging emoji. Oh my God. This is okay. We got little baby, Kanye West watching mommy Elon and daddy Trump fighting, and they're just like, stop fighting, mommy, daddy, stop fighting. Like, that's literally what's happening here. You think that she has CTE? Yeah, maybe. Oh my God. So more Elon tweets. We got, him talking about Donald Trump talking about, cutting the government subsidies and contracts with Elon. In light of the president's statement about the cancellation of my government contract, SpaceX will begin decommissioning its Dragon spacecraft immediately. I think that's like some like project that he was working with for the government, working on rather for the government through SpaceX. I gotta be honest, I'm not super familiar with like the Dragon spacecraft thing, but apparently he's like, well, if you're gonna cut my contracts, then we're gonna start working on your project like right now. We're just gonna do it right now. It's like I said, it's like a teenage temper tantrum, right? Literally a teenage temper tantrum between the two of them. We got oh my God, Ian Miles Chung chiming in here. President versus Elon, who wins? My money's on Elon. So we got Ian Miles Chung siding with Elon Musk. Trump should be impeached and JD Vance should replace him. To which Elon Musk said yes. So it's gotten so far. This frayed relationship, this burning of the bridge has gone so far that Elon Musk is literally advocating for Donald Trump to be impeached now. Like, that's how bad this shit is. Fucking insanity. And what do we have here? We have AG tweeting, the relationship between Trump and Epstein is well established. Trump flew on Epstein's plane at least 7 times, though it's not clear if he ever went to the island. Here's what Trump said about Epstein in 2002 New York Magazine profile. Epstein likes to tell people that he's a loner, a man who never touched alcohol or drugs, and one whose nightlife is far from energetic. And yet, if you talk to Donald Trump, a different Epstein emerges. I've known Jeff for 15 years. Terrific guy. Trump booms from the speakerphone. He's a lot of fun to be with. It is even said that he likes beautiful women as much as I do, and many of them are on the younger side. I don't know if you should be like, I don't know if that's something that should be flaunted, Donnie. I what the fuck? No doubt about it, Jeffrey enjoys his social life. And Elon quote tweets this with a very puzzled emoji, to say the least. So Trump responds again. And this is like pure cope, chat. Like, this is pure cope on Trump's part. Like, I can imagine, as he posts this on Trump's social, or Truth Social, rather. It might as well be Trump Social, because the only reason anybody goes on Truth Social is to see what Trump is saying. But I can imagine him posting this post on Truth Social while literally sobbing. You can see he's holding his iPhone like this, and there's literally like teardrops falling onto the screen as he types it. I don't mind Elon turning against me, but he should have done so months ago. This is one of the greatest bills ever presented to Congress. It's a record cut in expenses, $1.6 trillion, and the biggest tax cut ever given. If this bill doesn't pass, there will be a 68% tax increase, and things far worse than that. I didn't create this mess. I'm just here to fix it. This puts our country on a path of greatness. Make America great again. Of course, he's got to throw the MAGA in there. Jeez. Oh my God. The Democrats decided to hop in on this and kind of meme on the situation. Apparently, back on April 30th, they tweeted out an old picture of Donald Trump hanging out with Jeffrey Epstein. Bad groups indeed. And then, of course, they quote tweet their old tweet with the screenshot of Elon Musk saying that Donald Trump's in the Epstein files, and that's why they aren't made public. They also went on to tweet, kill the bill and release the Epstein files. Oh my God, this is too... This day on Twitter was so much fun. I've been very vocal with my criticism of Twitter and how it's become like a safe haven for like far-right freaks and fucking like hateful, bigoted people, and it's just kind of like, it's really depressing to use. This is by far the most fun I have had on Twitter in such a long fucking time. Like, oh my God. Today was hilarious. What else do we have here? So this person says, can I finally say that Trump's tariffs are super stupid? This one's interesting. I actually have some criticism of this one. He's not wrong, but I have some criticism here. He says, the Trump tariffs will cause a recession in the second half of this year. And he's probably right. I mean, we're already seeing the negative impacts of the tariffs. We're watching companies raise the prices of their goods because their part suppliers come from other countries that are getting tariffed to hell and back. They manufacture their products in other countries, which resulted in the cost of their products going sky high. Like, we're already seeing the effects of the tariffs and their very negative effects. So he's most likely right that, yes, we are headed towards a recession because of these stupid tariffs. But here's my problem with his criticism of this particular point here. Trump has been, for months talking about doing these tariffs. And not even just, when he got into office. When he was running for office, when he was campaigning to, win the election, he was already talking about tariffs. The thing about Donald Trump is, like, somebody privately will mention something to him. They'll get some, like, word in their head, and he'll, like, get this idea, like, oh, like, we really need... You can always tell when somebody's been whispering into Trump's ears, because then he won't stop talking about whatever they told him. So somebody whispered in his ear, hey, you should look into tariffs, and then tariffs. That's all he could talk about, right? So, like, this guy was, like, going on and on and on about how when he got in office, he was going to push these tariffs, like, really fucking hard, right? And you promoted him and his ideals of, like, pushing these tariffs really fucking hard. You did not have an issue with it whatsoever when you two were besties. But now that your relationship has fallen apart, now you want to criticize his tariffs? Now you want to talk about how they're going to lead this country into a recession? My dude, you could have called him out on this shit ages ago. And now you fucking want to say something? Now you want to say something. He may be right with this tweet, but come on, dude. You could have called him out on this a long time ago. Then we got comments from Steve Bannon commenting on, like, this situation. I just want to read this, like, quoted point here. They should initiate a formal investigation of his immigration status because I am of the strong belief that he is an illegal alien and he should be deported from the country. So Steve Bannon's out here literally, like, saying, like, we should deport Elon Musk. And you guys know me, I'm not a fan of, like, the mass deportation that's happening right now. But I'm not gonna lie, if Elon Musk got deported, that would be, like, the funny, like, Trump. I don't like you. I fucking hate you, like, in your guts. I can't stand you. But, like, you could do the funniest thing right now, bro. You could literally do the funniest fucking thing right now, bro. Come on. Do something. You know the meme where, like, somebody's pointing a stick at something and they're like, come on, do something. This is me pointing the stick at, like, Donald Trump and saying, I don't approve of, like, your deportations, your mass deportations right now, but, like, if there's one deportation I would be perfectly fine with you doing, it's this one. Come on, do something. Oh my God. It's probably not going to happen, but it would be really funny if it did. So then we have this, somebody tweeting in 1992, Trump partied with Jeffrey Epstein. Just going to leave this here. And Elon tweets it again with a very puzzled emoji. Let's take a look at this video and see what we got here. Here we go.
Of a Mar-a-Lago party shows Trump giving Epstein his personal attention.
Steve Bannon has total brain rot. Look into him, chat. You're not wrong. He is absolutely insane. You're 100% correct on that. But what he's proposing in regards to Elon is really fucking funny. It would be really funny.
The footage, shot in November of 1992, before Trump opened the resort as a club, shows the future president surrounded by cheerleaders for the Buffalo Bills and Miami Dolphins, capturing Trump's fun-loving bachelor lifestyle for an appearance on Faith Daniels' NBC Talk.
Bro was, like, literally a fucking, like, man whore. Like, for real.
show.
We're going to get great ratings in your show.
Trump is surrounded by women as music blares in the background. After a while, Trump goes to greet 3 new guests. Among them, the financier Jeffrey Epstein.
Come on in. Go inside.
More than a decade before his guilty plea on state prostitution charges.
Yikes! Just partying it up with this guy. Just having a good old time with this dude.
Later in the footage, Trump is seen talking to Epstein and another man as women are dancing in front of them. Trump alternates between dancing and pointing out women to Epstein and the other man and telling Epstein about the cameras. Though exactly what they say is difficult to understand as they discuss the women and their appearances.
2 convicted sex pests or sex pests? Yo, true. I mean, it's very, very true. Party after party with Epstein. Interesting, right? It's kind of sus, no? If I still had my soundboard, this is where I would play the Among Us sus meme, you know?
Trump gestures to one and appears to say to Epstein, "Look at her back there. She's hot." And then Trump says something else into Epstein's ear that makes him double over with laughter. But as the president said,
jeez, so he's just dunking on him like relentlessly at this point. Jeez. What's this one here? Oh, and then this came out. We see Elon Musk unfollowed Stephen Miller, who, if you're not familiar, White House Deputy Chief of Staff for Policy and Homeland Security Advisor. So he's unfollowing basically members of Trump's administration. And it doesn't stop there. He's apparently unfollowing right-wing commentators as well. And this one we can see that he unfollowed Charlie Kirk. So is Elon having a why I left the right moment here? Like, is he going full on why I left the right? Holy, what is happening here? This is so insane. And this happened a little bit earlier in the day, but I wanted to, like, towards the end of the segment, show this. He tweeted, "Is it time to create a new political party in America that actually represents the 80% in the middle?" I don't know about your guys' vote, but my vote for this one is yes, absolutely. I would suggest that he do a socialist, but he might do the wrong socialist, if you know what I mean. I'll let you guys put 2 and 2 together. Anyway, and then I wanted to wrap the segment up with this image here, which I found fucking hilarious. It's Elon Musk and Trump. "I don't want to play with you anymore." So this whole thing has been a lot of, political theater on the timeline. It's been absolutely hilarious to watch this whole situation sort of play out. This is the end of the bromance chat. Like, the girls are fighting, the bromance has ended, and it's a very sad day for MAGA and like Elon Musk fanboys. This is very sad for them to witness. But for those of us on the opposite side of the political aisle, it's been absolutely hilarious to watch, and I'm looking forward to the coming days to watch how this whole thing plays out as time continues. But yeah, this is the most fun I've had on Twitter in a long fucking time. You have no fucking idea, chat. Holy shit.